Program management is the process of managing several related projects with the intention of improving an organization's performance by leading technical workforce, which involves proactive planning, project management, resourcefulness, and decision making. Most of the armed forces officers have this inherent experience of program management throughout their service. Today, on this episode of The Ladder, we have Captain Ritu Mehla, retired, on the show. Before I begin the interview, let me show you the purpose and motto of our podcast channel.
Confusion is inevitable state of mind in all stages of life, be it the education, selection of life partner, or the job. More the options, more is the confusion. Despite being the exceptional military leaders, when it comes to transitioning from boots to suits, we again encounter the same confusion. Which job profile to select, what certification needs to be done, and where do we start are all questions that haunt the mind. We at The Ladder bridge this gap of unknown queries by interviewing veterans who are already well settled after their transition. We bring you their valuable experience and share guidance so that you all are benefited. Following the motto of once a soldier, always a soldier, we're here to fill that gap of mentoring and guidance so that bonhomie of armed forces fraternity remains intact.
All right. Captain Ritu was commissioned in the year 2012 into Corps of Engineers in the Indian Army. She is an electrical engineer from University of Pune, passed out in the year 2011. She has done her executive diploma in general management and strategic HRM from IIM Lucknow in the year 2022. Presently, she is working as senior manager in T Systems. I welcome Captain Ritu. It is indeed a pleasure to have you on the panel.
Thank you so much, Shaurya. It's a pleasure indeed to be a part of this forum, and I'm happy to contribute my bit.
So, Captain Ritu, please brief us about your 5 years of experience in the Indian Army.
Sure. So I was basically a technical entry, short service women entry scheme for Indian Army. I had applied, I got shortlisted and selected. And post my 1-year training at Officers Training Academy, Chennai, I joined the Elite Corps of Engineers, wherein I was deployed for my first assignment in northeast of India, specifically Dimapur. Nagaland. I was a part of the regiment which was really actively deployed in creating temporary operational shelters, as well as massively contributing to a lot of infrastructure in a region which was more so totally remote and cut off. Post my stint with an engineer regiment, I was fortunately deployed with one of the largest training and development centers of the engineers corps, which is located at Roorkee, Uttarakhand. And that was one of the most enriching experiences in really the entire recruitment life cycle, which happens for our technical troops, and how really the entire year-on-year planning really goes on, and what happens at the back end. And a lot of, we did a lot of leadership programs, we did a lot of technical workshops for this workforce. And post my completion of, towards the end of my stint, which was at this training and development center, my release was fortunately, unfortunately, it was there in the books in terms of we have a provision, but it was more aligned with my interests outside the Indian Army, wherein I could contribute further. And I was very fortunate not only to get an opportunity outside, but the kind of support that I got for my last reporting RO and CO, which is the language of the Indian Army. They were very supportive because this decision to really transition was towards the fag end of completion of my 5 years. And due to the opportunities coming my way, I discussed with a lot of seniors. I discussed with my commanding officer as well as my immediate brigade commander as well, and even up to the main Sena Bhavan, where I had a lot of discussions on really how to plan this. And luckily, everything was aligned, and I was able to get this transition and make a move and successfully move into a good opportunity into the corporate. So that's a bit of Indian Army, as well as how really this transition took place for me.
Okay, great. Being an electrical engineer, how did you choose to join the army?
Yeah, so in my particular institute, which is based in Pune, we had one of the service selection board colonels really come in, and they were conducting a lot of interviews for this technical entry scheme. So my particular commission was I was shortlisted for an interview, and then my SSB came in, especially for women technical entry scheme. And post the entire the regular rigma role of a service selection board, for me it was 13 SSB Bangalore. I made it to the merit list of India, and I was fortunate enough to get a call letter, get shortlisted, and really join. So for me particularly, it was this interview, because I do come from an armored forces background. I was aware my family and everything. But for me, really, this happened when this interviewing officer from Southern Command, they were doing their rounds, and they were really in my engineering college doing all these interviews. That's how I got this, opportunity to really join the armored forces.
Okay. You left the army after 5 years of service in the middle of your, I think, 10 years of contractual period. So can you tell us what was this deciding factor wherein you thought of leaving army in middle?
Yeah, so frankly speaking, the earlier contract, I would say, for short service officers was 5 years, then 10 and 14. And of course, now, with the latest developments, there is also a permanent commission doing the rounds. So obviously, our principal contract says 10 years. But again, going back to the backdrop, which I mentioned in the beginning, with the help of a lot of seniors and others in Sena Bhavan, I came to know that as a part of our contract, this clause of release is also there at 5 years, and reading the fine line of your onboarding or documentation, which happens when we are really taken into the army, which many were not really aware. So I did a lot of, I would say, groundwork in really checking for this release, because it wasn't so planned that I was planning it from day one. I knew that I can have a successful career in the corporate. I was always learning, doing a lot of certifications, doing a lot of work which is much aligned, not only with the government sector but even outside. So this release at 5 years is duly there in our contract. It's a part of the fine print. But for me personally, it needed some alignment with the central directive. And I was also in the company of some lucky seniors, I would say, who were kind enough to guide me, not only guide me, give the right direction for this transition to happen. So my this release of the special release clause, which happens at 5 years, the whole process hardly took around 2 to 3 months, which I think is very fast compared to what happens in a regular process. And I personally followed my own file. I personally went. So the decision was very much clear. And since it was already there in the bond, and I did not have any financial obligation, I did not have any other obligations. And of course, I had a job and other opportunities in my hand, this decision became much more easier for me to really, proceed ahead. But yeah, I think a key role was the seniors around me who were able to guide me, direct me. And I personally went and spoke to as many people as possible. I wasn't really, oh, this person is a director general, or this person is an XYZ. I actually went and sat with all of them, that what are really the clauses for short service officer, what happens once you get released. In fact, I had all these discussions that, they should be given more, because once they get released, there should be more other elements pertaining to how they get imbibed into the corporate. And also all those good positive feedback and discussions, I was actively engaged, and this is how it happened for me.
Great. That means one can consider this option of leaving at 5 years as well.
Yes, so there is a clause in it, and of course you have to take everybody's approval in the chain with the right reasons, and this will come from your manpower, which is, I think, DGMP 5 or 6. They have to give that release and approve it. So I followed through with each of these layers personally. So I would say a bit of luck as well, because sometimes your file will just get rejected also if there are not ample reasons that they are not considering, and maybe your core badly needs you. So there are a bit of probability and other elements associated to it. But if answering the question, is there a clause, there is a clause in your offer letter or in your contract, which mentions of a release at 5 years. And this is all by the earlier practice. The earlier practice was 5, 10, and 14. And of course, now, PC and all other elements or documents would get revised, but you have to read the fine print is the point here.
Absolutely. So that means you were already clear about joining the corporate job rather than selecting any PSU/government job while you were in
Oh,
the
yes.
phase of transitioning?
Yes, absolutely. PSU was never a part of my plan. I think each one of us who transition, or I would say not even transition, each one who is the short service officer, we already come, unfortunately, with a ticking time sometimes. So a critical part of that is your own strategy, your own plan. How do you want to really have a lifestyle, I would say, not only a job. So I had a lot of peers or a lot of seniors to guide me on how this can really, right from creating a resume to the kind of roles. So I had done a lot of homework, so as to say. And of course, a corporate was what I was really looking at, because in my family, I would be the first one who's really ventured into the corporate, because everybody is from the government sector or some sort of a public entity. So, bit of curiosity and a bit of my peer network, because I think your network also plays a big role in this kind of, you have to take feedback from so many people. So I connected with so many people on LinkedIn or any other network to really gather those insights, and then make up my mind about what is the role that I would like to perform, what is the kind of lifestyle that I would like to have, and everything fit into the role of really taking on a corporate career than any other role.
Okay. As have mentioned earlier, you completed your executive diploma in the year 2022. So why didn't you do this while you were transitioning? I mean, before joining the corporate job?
Yeah. So, see, I have done this strategic HRM in my 2022, because right now I'm inside my organization due to some changes, some role changes. That is what I'm aligning for. So when I came out, in the year 2017, I would say I only considered the basic PGDM, which we got from University of Madras. I already had a job in hand, so I did not have that time to pursue the whole 6 months course or any other course and all that distance learning and all of that, which ideally officers should do pre to when they release and all of that. But it truly depends on you to give you that 360 degree overview. What are the qualifications that you want to imbibe? My present qualification is also more aligned to the role that I would be performing. So it made more sense for me to, develop strategy and all those other things. There are two ways of always doing a thing, either OJT, which is on-job training, you learn with experience. And fortunately, in my case, it worked that way. but it is always better to over prepare and prepare. That's why you'll see a lot of officers doing distance learning in their free time, because if you have a long span, for example, if you're going to serve 10 years, 14 years, you have more time at hand to plan this transition, and then certain certifications which are regular, PMP, Six Sigma. See, there is never a term that you can be over prepared. You should always plan it that way. But somehow for me, I have learned it along with the job, gathered certifications more aligned with the roles that I would be performing. And I have learned on the go, I would say, and in my first role, I started with my qualifications as an engineer, as well as the PGDM, which I gotten from University of Madras. So my learning has more been from ground gathering, then building a career around that.
So apart from this upskilling of executive MBA, did you take any external assistance with respect to job search, resume oblique LinkedIn profile building?
Yeah, so these are some lessons which I learned, and I would advise every Fauji not to do. When I was transitioning, I in fact paid a lot of money, in getting your basic things done, because in my first go, I had prepared my CV as an engineer, and post that, how do I put this army experience into an entire docket? I just couldn't. So I did pay for those services, and I in fact paid a headhunter a huge amount to get me some corporate roles. But my advice to everyone is that please don't go for any of those. Rather get a mentor or a personal, because if you're getting your CV made by someone else, you'll not be able to interview successfully, because they'll put in a lot of keywords and you'll not be able to explain your experience of army. So CV is like, I would say, the holy grail of all your things, and that needs to be really your own. So my lesson learned, don't pay for anything. I did make that mistake. I invested a huge sum into a corporate headhunter, and they don't have any mandate that they will give you an assured offer or any of those. So the best way I have converted is by going all out, connecting people to people, get those experiences, work on your clarity, your job description, read that up, connect with mentors in that field, and sure enough, all the service professionals are so dedicated. They are known for their brilliant work ethic. We are selected after such a rigorous selection procedure. We do make it in best of the best companies. So definitely, I've done some mistakes and learned it the hard way. No one can do it better than you. That's the crux of it. So do not go for anyone who says, or don't go for any of these services, not required, not needed. The most crucial elements, start with your basic CV, keep on tweaking it. If you're applying for some roles, tweak it as per the job descriptions which is needed. Look at the qualifications and align accordingly.
Okay. So as you were mentioning earlier, as per you, what would be the best option to do the MBA with respect to distance, executive, or regular MBA? Which one may be
See,
the best one?
so best is definitely, if you have the time and the resources, nothing beats a regular MBA if you're building a corporate career. And some of the good companies, they will in fact sponsor your MBAs as well. Of course, distance also has its own value, but you have to see what suits your learning as well. Some of the organizations don't even would ask for it, but the more you climb up the ladder, or the more how you want to make it be more relevant, right? Because MBA is generally more about, now also MBAs are also very, very unique, right? Depending on specializations and other critical elements. I think the basic purpose for officers should be to get that corporate understanding of, I would say, words which are used in the corporate, where this both distance as well as regular will come to help you. All these are elements which will support you in your journey. But frankly speaking, there is no right fit that, this is the way. You have to craft it and curate it as per what is suiting you. It will take you to what you're aiming at. But of course, like, a regular MBA always has a higher weightage than a distance MBA. Some organizations don't count a distance MBA, but it also depends on how you're really depicting it. For example, mine was, the PGDM from University of Madras, which is my qualification, which I showcased. So it is also how you represent what you have, because you can do 20 qualifications also, but if you're not able to explain that experience, no matter how many you do, it will not help. So you have to use whatever resources, whatever learnings you have, put that in that time frame and use it judiciously. But no learning goes to waste, because I myself am a avid learner. So it is up to you what resources you have, what capacity you have, what responsibilities you have, and plan your education accordingly, because you will not enjoy if you are always burdened with physical classes, always burdened with other elements. So one has to plan all this during the transition or pre to the transition to really bear fruit.
Okay, so can you tell us how crucial is the first interview and the salary negotiation for any fresher to start the career in corporate world?
Yeah, so definitely, not only interview, I think salary. There are plenty of mock interviews and salary negotiations out there on not only YouTube. You should, so for this particular reason, you should always connect with your seniors who are there in the industry, because especially for your first job, when you're transitioning from totally a service role to a corporate role, it would be a shock of, like, how to really carry on that discussion, to how to really negotiate your salary, what is the market benchmark, and all of that. So this particular aspect is where a lot of guidance and assistance one must seek aggressively. And for your first one, that will play a very crucial role, is what I would say. But yes, that you can get it by connecting with your seniors, as well as I think the 6 months program which happens, I think they also effectively teach you all these minor skills and all these minor elements. And they will definitely ask you what's your expectation. Usually the market benchmark is whatever is your last CTC. On that they will start negotiating with 30% hike. But then it's how you justify, that you're bringing a wealth of experience. Some recruiter will say, it's army experience is different than corporate experience, so you have to then justify that, no, these are the skills. So everything really depends on how you can map your experience of the army and put it in the corporate language to show the outcomes you have received. And yes, this would be one of the most critical elements to really breaking into the corporate. But yes, I've seen ex-servicemen do it time and again, and everything can be aced with a little, not little, with a lot of preparation and confidence. And services folks are good at it, is my experience.
Okay, so can you just brief us about the role of a program management in various companies? And what are the
Mm-hmm.
certifications one can plan if they really want to pursue the project management career?
Yeah. So if you're looking at a core, right from a financial segment to an ITS service segment, which generally has these roles of program manager or project manager, I would advise to do certifications in Agile, Scrum. Your basics are PMP, and all your basic programming languages, like there is a basic fundamental for Python, Java, and so many free resources are really available out there. So these basics will put you in a good place to make a conversion, because uh, I personally myself till date get a lot of calls for program management, project management, because these are the roles where you need to do a lot of coordination and also deliver results. So services folks are much demand in this portfolio. And by doing a lot of industry relevant certifications, as I mentioned earlier, that will put you in the right place with the recruiting agency, which is gonna make that first call with you, and it will also make it more relevant for you for the roles which are gonna come to you. So safe, a lot of safe certifications, agile certifications, Scrum, and PMP as the basics, and then the basic programming languages. See, there is no end to this because technologies do change really fast. But depending on your interest, depending on your fields, most of the organizations are really working in these methodologies. So one can start from there, and as you develop more interest, can go deeper and deeper.
Okay. Do you really think shifting of the companies does help in negotiating the better salary packages?
See, this is the market right now, that a lot of job switching that gets you more hikes, and so definitely, like, that is the market standard, that if you jump every job, you will minimum get a 30 to 40% hike. For some, it will be even more. So right now, the general average is everybody will stick to a particular company for 2 years, then make a jump again, get a salary hike of 30, and accumulate a lot. But again, it depends on what are your priorities, what kind of a career are you really looking at. If somebody does like the kind of company they get to work at, or the kind of role that you're performing, and somebody does not have a constraint of money. So it's always about I would say three things: the role that you're performing, the location that you're at, and the salary package. So these three main things always come in interplay in any role, and one has to decide, either you meet all three of them, either you meet two of them, one of them. But there is no perfect answer to this. If it suits you to switch role every 6 months also, one should do it, like, because there will be a pay hike related to it. But it also depends on what kind of a career you're really aiming at. There is nothing negative about job hopping. It is to each one their own. They can take a call as per what is really important for them. If somebody has money as a priority, they should do it. If somebody has consistency as a priority, if somebody wants to be a building part of a company, or really go really far with the company, it's up to them. If somebody has a job right next to their house, wants to take care of their family, baby, needs work from home, wants a flexible job, can take a little less salary, really you have to take a call as per your priorities, and they are totally personal, they are totally unique. There's no judgment there. Each one of us has a very different set of needs, and you have to really go with that, or else you will get you'll end up dissatisfied, with no matter what comes your way.
Okay. Can you please tell us some of the key lessons from army life which you feel useful in the corporate world?
Yeah. So I think the biggest one is definitely agility. We are always over prepared with uncertainty. So that has massively helped, because I think I'm very fast to react to situations, and the never say die spirit. We have a very positive spirit. And I think last would be, I mean, like, resourcefulness, also known as jugaad. We Fauji's are very good at it. We service people. Everything is ultimately linked to getting things done. So that has really helped in transforming the army spirit to the corporate, and also the fact that we are very ethical. We already have a lot of leadership qualities. We are already capable of building teams. So all those things play a very, very differentiating factor once we are in the corporate, because definitely we are the best of the best, and not only we have proved it, we have lived with it, right? So all those elements add a niche to whichever corporate you're joining, or whichever company you're joining. Then it's up to you how you can scale it further, and how you can take it to the next step, because we all have those leadership qualities, we all have those. Where we need to work on is our functional skills, like the subject matter expert skills, or the roles that you'll be performing. And since we are so agile and so adaptable, we learn as we go. As I mentioned, that depending on your role, you can learn skills faster, you can catch up on that, because technology moves also at that pace. And if you're in some other field, maybe the changes will be a little not slow. Changes will come at their own pace, but you'll have to prepare as per your role based, function based, industry based kind of sector in which you are. You'll have to accordingly keep on molding and sharpening your axe as per that to be really relevant.
Okay. How good are on-site opportunities in this job profile?
Yes, so on-site is a big part of what happens in any of the Indian, not only IT, even from where I work, a lot of German MNCs, a lot of European MNCs. So there are plenty of opportunities is the correct word. It's up to you how you encash them, how you really can tap into it. But the market is totally plush with golden opportunities, I would say.
Okay. Any last suggestion for the officers aspiring for project management role you would like to quote?
Yeah, so I would say, definitely prepare for project management, but it also naturally comes to us. So that is already ingrained, but do your certifications, do your courses to get that language, to get that corporate relevant experience. Also do connect with, the mentors or the people who have already transitioned into these roles, so that they can pass on some good advice. And don't hesitate to take feedback, because it might happen that you might get some insights from one person which are very different from another, but gather that. And it also doesn't matter even if you don't have a technical background. It doesn't mean only engineers get it, or only XYZ degree get it. It's all about how you can your experience of so many projects which you led, right from material management to right from, since I come from technical, I'm able to make that very easily. But resource, people, everything, if you put it in the perspective of a program or a project management, which is time, your quality and your resource, you can quote these examples, you can take these experiences and convert that opportunity into a job offer.
Thank you so much, Captain Ritu, for your valuable time. I am sure
Thank
your
you.
experience will be a valuable addition to all the officers aspiring for the project management role. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.